there was never appeared to be a hard and fast rule for Reece Walsh. Sometimes he attacked him, other times he sat and went backwards. Again, was it a tactic, or was it simply Critter just reading the situation? Let's have a talk about the halves match. Fantastic. Firstly, Mitch Moses' best game of his career. Yeah. The performance matched the swagger. Yeah. That's what he is now. Yeah, Mitch is known, and I thought this was really important. You know, when you're in the halves, you have that first kick, you hit it sweet. That's an important one. But Mitchell's a very headstrong, forthright sort of bloke. Did he challenge you in camp?
No, he was actually really good.
Was he?
I was really pleased. And, I'd spoken to Mitch quite a bit prior to coming into camp, like I've spoke to all the halves, from Nico to Nath Cleary and, Jerome. So I had a really good understanding of each of the players. And Mitch, he worked really hard, obviously, to try and give himself the opportunity to be in Origin 1. But he wasn't able to make it. And then, obviously, the Origin 2 comes about and he came into camp with, full of confidence, knowing that, he had the support of, obviously, everyone around him.
Yep.
And he played his part. And I think Jerome, too, you watch Jerome here, I've been so pleased with Jerome about how he's gone about his footy. And I guess you don't know a player until you get to coach him.
Yeah.
And my appreciation for Ramey is he's a very smart player. And the way he broke down the game, and then you connect sort of, Mitch with him, and then Dylan out the back, and Reece Robson, he played a massive part in how we played, not only defensively but with our attack, just to get our plan on. So I just thought the spine came together in a really strong way, and then that just resonated through the team.
With Jerome, I reckon it's probably, I reckon he played with more poise and control than I've seen before.
Yeah.
And it's funny what you said there about, he's real smart. It's because he's so freewheeling at times. You sort of underestimate that part of his game.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the other thing too, I think this is unfair on Jerome. He's a very exuberant character. He's come in here at Fox Sports before. What a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
Everyone spoke so highly of him, and he's been criticised saying, that, but there was no stereo on the bus or anything like that, Madge.
Oh, no, he's pretty quiet, actually. He's, he's a family man. What I guess everyone's perceived, and, the world creates that. But when you get him in camp, mate, he's with his kids and his family, and he buzzes about, and he brings a lot of energy, which, you're required. But I just felt that, he's probably now at a stage of his career where he can see that he can really take control. And, to his credit, he's probably played a part in how Penrith have played over the years. But you've got to remember, they've won 3 grand finals, 4. They've been in 4 grand finals. So, he's played a part, and now, obviously, he's expanding his game in a different way. So it'll be really interesting to watch him as he moves forward.
We spoke before of Mitchell Moses starting the game well, hitting the kick right. And there were a lot of very good one-on-one battles. You had the yardage battle, both respective packs, but some fantastic one-on-one clashes. Stephen Crichton versus Hamiso was prime time rivalry. And early in the game, I think this is a really important moment, and exerting dominance, is the ends coming up with an error, but first touch of the football going over Hamiso, Stephen Crichton.
Yeah.
Little things like that, like that first good kick, having dominance on that first run gives the side a big lift.
Well, I think you've got to win your little battles. I mean, we've always spoken about that, Matty, isn't it? But, what you see there in Critter, is what the forward pack, you've got to earn the right, obviously, through the forwards. And I guess, in our first game, we probably weren't able to dominate in that space. And, I felt that our forward pack were a lot stronger, albeit that, there's areas I know that they're hungry to get better at moving forward. Yeah. You've got to have that dominance to be able to allow the boys on the edges. But someone like Critter, Steve Crichton, it's nice to see. And I guess the one thing around Stephen is that it's not so much just his game, it's what he does off the field. And look, everyone's spoken about it, but I've been able to see that in real life now, to see the presence that he has in wanting to build something. And that's a fair credit to a young bloke coming through and being a leader.
Let's talk, Critter as a defender, and I haven't seen a better defensive
one of the best
centre as far as decision making is concerned. Madge, and it was very funny. There was never appeared to be a hard and fast rule for Reece Walsh. Sometimes he attacked him, other times he sat and went backwards. Again, was it a tactic, or was it simply Critter just reading the situation?
Well, a little bit of both, to be honest, Matty. I like the position that Critter gets himself in and how he moves. I reckon he's one of the best in the game, in his body position. So that allows him to have the nature of going at him or staying back and holding. And then it really comes down to the players around him adapting to how he moves. And I think as the game rolled on, Mitchell Moses and Zach really got a good understanding, and that had a fair bit to do with our training that they got together. But Critter is one of the best defensively in how he can move, and the more the players play around him, the better connected you become.
We'll have a look at this in a second. We'll have a look at Latrell Mitchell and as an example of his power and his presence. But what about his power and presence within the team?
Yeah.
Coming into camp, what a difference did it make, Match?
Yeah, well, one thing Latrell, he probably isn't credited for because he doesn't play as much centre these days, is his defence. I thought he was actually really strong defensively, out in the edge. So to be able to have those two boys out there on the edges, but Latrell has that presence. We all know that. Yeah. And it's nice to see he's got a real smile on his face, and he's probably got that swagger back about enjoying his football. And mate, he's great to be around. We all have said that, and and the one thing he said, mate, I'm one little part of the team. It's all about the team, and I think when you've got your players in that headspace, especially someone of his calibre, you're in a pretty good place. So to have him back in there and smiling and buzzing about training, it's quite enjoyable.
It was good watching those two blokes, Crichton and Latrell on our side. Had a great feeling because as a kid growing up, watching New South Wales versus Queensland and watching Meninga and Miles operate on either side of the field and then in combination sometimes. Yeah. My God, what a nightmare. But, right, an example of Latrell, we'll talk about Jerome, it's beautiful work by Jerome, but you see this with Val and Xavier Coates. Xavier just can't, you can see he just can't quite leave him alone because he sees the mismatch that it creates with Latrell. If you watch
the ball work of Ramey and Mitch together, just subtly holds them up. Then Ramey gives the ball early enough to Latrell, which then squeezes the line in, which then puts the pressure on the outside. So all those little subtleties are going on across your team. And, I think the way Angus was running the ball, which I'm sure you'll talk about, he's doing great. He's doing a great job because, if you're a centre and you've got Angus that might pop on the outside of Cherry Evans, all of a sudden you've got to hold tight, but then all of a sudden it opens up the ability to what may happen on the outside, and that's how the game's broken down, isn't it?
Absolutely it is, Madge. And, little things make a big difference. Most people would sit and watch Jerome there and they go, it's good, Jerome just gave a nice early ball. But, as you know, his timing of that pass was just perfect. One or two steps just to commit, get the line to hold a little bit and shoot it to Latrell.
Yeah. Well, you watch Ramey, especially probably over the last little period of his development, with Nath not being there, he is playing straight. He likes to bounce, I guess, inside, but he's got the ability to show and go. So all of a sudden, to have Angus and Latrell on the outside, mate, if you don't hold tight on Jerome, mate, he's going to beat you. So obviously things like that, which everyone can see, that's what you're building when you're out in the field.
Now, Mate, you really went out on a limb for Dylan Edwards. Picked him in game one. He couldn't play because of the thigh. James Tedesco came in. Teddy played good in game one, played well. It would have been very easy to keep him, but you went back to Dylan. He didn't disappoint you, mate.
No, not at all. And, full credit to Teddy too. I mean, he's one of the champions of the game, and how he approached everything that's been put in front of him, absolute champion. But I just felt it was time for Dylan. He's been doing it for years, and he probably had some challenges, I suppose, early on where he had to find himself as a fullback. He went back and built himself up, and he's an incredible player. Just to watch him be able to do the things he's doing and the work rate. Everyone tells me how fit he is. Mate, he is super fit. Mate, when you watch him as close as what I'm doing now and what he does off the ball and what he does for players, mate, he's one of those players that you'd love to play with.
Yeah, gotcha. Watching him, Madge, a lot of times I reckon it's a missed stat we don't use enough. And one of the stats is the fact we go, this side's made so many tackles, right? But it's really tackle involvement, isn't it? Like, and if you watch Dylan, nothing tires a big bloke out like missing a little bloke, and he makes it do a lot. But also, when he runs the ball and he's stepping and he's skipping and he's twirling out of tackles, mate, by the time they get him to the ground, he's probably engaged 5, 6, 7 blokes. Then what a toll that takes up on an opposition.
Well, it's even before that, Matty. It's his support play that he's actually engaging a lot of defenders around him because he is in every single play. So if you're a defender and he's in your arena or in your space, you've got to be live. So you've got to be moving because there's every chance he's going to get the ball. And then when he does get the ball, he's got the ability to be able to get himself through and get a quick play of the ball. So, he puts a lot of people on notice when he's running.
The role of Isaiah Yeo and Jake Trbojevic, there seemed to be in game two, Madge, far more of an attitude to just get forward. Right? less of a pass attitude, run first, pass second, particularly with Isaiah, because he's at Penrith, he operates just about like a halfback. Yeah. Was that your decision, your tactic, or was it these blokes just reacting on the run to what they saw?
Oh, I think it's more what they saw, Matty. Like Isaiah's he's really strong when he does run the ball. I mean, that's one thing, like you watch him here. He's got a powerful running game, and I guess because you watch him at Clubland and he plays a certain style, well, I mean, a lot of what you're seeing now is that he's actually got one hell of a running game as well. Yeah. He's got the ability to play the ball and build speed. So that's about recognising how we want to play, and you see good push there, and he's drawing in 3 defenders there, which has taken a fair bit of juice out of the opposition.
Game 1, they went to our right edge a lot and really tested out Zach, and they went there in the second half in game 2 and had a little bit of joy. Any concerns there about tidying up that edge a little bit?
We'll definitely go back into camp and look at those, Matty. They're the things that the playing group will talk about.
Yep.
They've already spoken about that. And how we want to look at things. So, getting back into camp and going through the areas of what we want to improve on is definitely part of what the group's about.